So Penelope, she did a talk for us in the first season. It was so good that we had to invite her again. And I was so lucky to meet Penelope when she started the first time with a course on how to teach online, right at the beginning of the pandemic when we were all locked in. So it was my little exit out of my house into some thinking, into some really interesting new people, new concepts. I was impressed with the way she was organizing it and structuring the course that allowed even my baby brain, foggy head to follow what she was teaching. So I was thinking, if the slowest of the group can follow you, you're doing a great job. So great teacher. I can't believe I haven't met you in person. When I do, I'm going to give you a huge squeeze. And again, thank you so much. Also, I invited her to come here and talk about writing for giving hands out, or how she organized those beautiful little hands out that she was giving us. Because that's a skill that as teachers or as people who have to interact with other people, we may need. And then she came back with this incredibly beautiful idea. So now I'm really excited about the talk she's going to do tonight. She has got a book out. It's a great book. If you don't have it, you have to have it. We'll have all the links. Yes, that's the book. And the best part of it is it comes with Penelope. So if you have the book and you start following, she's very generous. You'll find lots and lots of recordings online of things of doing with her. And they may bring you to the book group that is starting. You have got a launch this Thursday, haven't you? Do you mind just adding a little bit on that? I don't want to say anything imprecise.
Yes, because for those who've got the book, it's a long book, and some people have looked at it and gone, oh goodness, this is a bit overwhelming. It is, I'm told it's very readable once you get into it, but it is a long book, and there's, I think, 200 explorations in there, and people wanted help. So we formed a book study club, and there's three groups working together already, and a fourth group starting at the end of January. So there's two free talks about it on Thursday, one at 9 in the morning and one at 6 at night. It's the same, but it's a discussion group, so you can come and meet me and hear about how the book happened and hear about what the club is and discuss your ideas, and it'll be fun. It's sharing, and so if you want to know about that, the links will be in the chat afterwards. So thank you for that, Rosella.
Well, thank you. But tonight you're going to talk us about something a bit more from your heart, a bit different. So I haven't heard you talking about this. To me, it's completely new. So I'm just going to be very happy.
Okay, thank you, Rosella, and thank you for.
I think you expressed the preference not to be interrupted. So if you've got questions, if you can keep them all for the end. Or no, you were fine with me. Yes, okay. Today you're fine. So if you've got burning question, you can actually stop Penelope and or write it down in the message board, and I'll read it for her. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Because we're going to go into some into what's probably perhaps unfamiliar territory for a lot of people. So, I want you to, be able to ask questions about the processes, because we're going to do some practical work about it. So just to start by saying thank you for Rosella and Diana for inviting me back. It's such a pleasure to be here. And thank you also to Glenna for her wonderful talk. And I love that you said you're a recovering serious person. I too am a recovering serious person. So yes, it's a lovely way of putting it. Yes, writing from the intelligence of the body. The first version of the book I wrote, and I was working away at it for years, and I finally got to the point where I'd finished it, and I handed the first chapter to my mum, and she read it and she said, it's quite interesting. And I thought, well, that's not really the reaction I was after. And then that idea at 4 in the morning came, because so much of my book happened at 4 in the morning. I know I don't dream it, Glenna. I just wake up with it all churning, and within half an hour I'm out of bed and I just have to go and get the old pen out. yes, it's all suddenly the idea of actually how to structure it came, and I just wrote chapter 1. And then I didn't sleep, I think, for the next 4 weeks. I was so excited. I was there with the pinboard organizing it all, and handed chapter 1 to my mum, and she said, wow, I want to read more, give me more. Like, okay, that's what we're after. So what was the difference? It's like something came from deeper in me, something came from deeper down, something just emerged. And how do we get there? Because we can stare at a blank piece of paper for a long time with thoughts going around our heads. And, you know, we've been so told that thinking happens from the head. This is where the intelligence center is. And the rest of the body is just mechanical, you know, heart pumping and, you know, all the rest of it. But we all know how much we can get stuck in our heads. Anyone like to put your hand up if you think you ever get stuck in your head? Thank you. Yeah, it's a pretty common phenomenon. And when we try and write from the head, then it can feel contrived or blocked or stilted or wordy, never quite expresses what it wants. Now, we have phrases for the body intelligence. We talk about heart knowing, and we talk about gut instincts and intuition. I think, does intuition happen from the brain? Intuition happens from somewhere else, somewhere. We don't quite know where. Nosing our way through things. That's not brain, is it? And a deeper sense of knowing. We'll talk about having a deeper sense of knowing. And they're all ways of expressing this idea that the body is intelligent. And if you're writing about movement, and I guess a lot of people here who might want to be writing might be wanting to write about movement. Movement happens in the body. Sure, it's the body that knows about movement, not the brain. The brain doesn't do the movement. Anyway, just to throw that one out, because actually there's an idea that thinking and speaking actually somehow evolved out of movement, that they're an impulse to movement that actually has been decoupled from the action. And we have this in our language about you follow a train of thought, and if you're not following me, you might say, I've lost the thread. I'm not following you. We want a speaker to progressively lead us through the ideas. It's all a thread, isn't it? It's all movement. And it's also sensing, because there are other cultures which see thinking and speaking as senses. Now, that's a pretty wacky idea for most of us. But just think about that time when you know there's something you're trying to express, and it's the germ of an idea, and you don't quite know what it is yet, but you have a sense there is something. And so you start talking about it to somebody else, and you don't even, at the beginning of that conversation, even know what you're going to say. But somehow the words come from somewhere, and by the end of the conversation, you know what it is you were trying to say. Anyone have that experience? That the thought has somehow gathered itself, and you find the thoughts you were trying to reach. And so we feel our way into expressing, and through it, discover what we're thinking. And Damasio, I think, has more of a sense than others, that the scientist Damasio, that thought arises in the body, and the brain catches up later. So the concept that thought and speaking all emerge from the head brain is complete myth that's told by our culture, that teaches nowadays that the head is just this separate thing and it's the only site of intelligence. But the head brain is only one part of our rich and multifaceted being and our multifaceted intelligence. Even that there is now new scientific ideas coming in that say about the belly brain or the heart brain, but even the belly brain, they're still only talking about it in terms of autonomy of organizing digestion. They're not actually saying that you can write a novel from there. And even the idea, I think, is now more commonplace that emotion is in the body. But even that is suggested as sort of inchoate feelings, not, again, really fully formed ideas. So, but I think creatives often know that thinking and speaking comes from the depths, not just feelings, but actually words, phrases, ideas that come fully formed and come up from us like a thread of smoke, and then create a path to follow into the world. And that's what we're doing as we begin to speak it and we begin to write it. We want to put that path out there. So just to give you some images there. And so the words are not crafted by the brain. In this sensing, moving process, you're accessing your deeper intelligences. So the words that emerge fully formed, they're fully formed from somewhere deeper in. And so how does one do that? There's the big question. And we've had moments when it happened and we don't know how to get back there. So I want to suggest some methods how to get there. There's a simple method I use, which is not what I'm going to discuss today, but one of the simple ways I do it is simply, if I have that germ of an idea and can't get it, I just take a tape recorder and pretend there's a person there and, you know, give myself a little talk about it. And nowadays I draw up my email and actually dictate an email to myself, and that for me can be quite useful. But park that one, because actually today we're going to directly learn how to access our depths, I hope. So I hope to give you some good experiences. What I forgot to say is you will eventually want a pad of paper and a pen or a pencil. So just let's take a minute. If you haven't already got a pen and paper, you might like to go and get one. Okay, everybody seems to be back. So if we're going to access our feelings from our depths, first we need to get in touch with them. So I want to lead you through breathing through into the bottom of your body. And we're going to actually use a little R sound, maybe not a whispered R, but a vocalized R. You might want to stand up for this. I think, so just look out at your room first. I always start anything with a bit of making contact with the room around us. And whatever you're looking at across the space back to yourself. So what you're looking at, I'm looking at my clock, and there's a space between us, and I'm the other end of that. And then let your eyes float around, just seeing those different objects, and the space is back to you. And not just back to the front of you, but back to the back of you as well. Back through the volume of your head even. Just letting yourself see the relationships between different things in the room. The spaces between you and one thing, and spaces between, I don't know, the clock and the bookcase and the window. You don't tend to see the spaces, but the space is as important as the objects. Just being aware of the space behind you, the space above you, the space to either side of you. And all that might bring you more present in the room. Just a sense that you're here too. So often we're not quite present in our own lives. And the volume of you is breathing. Just letting that breath flow in and out. Like waves on the shore, and you're not getting involved with it. It's like you're sitting watching the waves. Breath flows in, breath flows out. Breath flows in, breath flows out. And just being aware of that breath as a volume within you, a swelling volume within you, and then a contracting volume again. And just add a little bit of movement to that. Just let your head come to one side and following your eyes, and then just let one knee come out just to make a little twist. We're just letting the body twist just by letting the knee lead. And back again. And then go the other way. The eyes lead and the knee leads. So we're just including the legs because it's very easy to stand on our legs like tree trunks. And our legs aren't tree trunks, they're living embodied parts of us too. I once managed to write an entire paragraph entirely from my thighs. It was an amazing experience. We tend to forget our legs are sentient as well. Now let's just let that out breath be a bit deeper. Just rest at the bottom of the out breath, and then when it's ready, the in breath comes in again. And you might notice if you just can rest at the bottom of the out breath, that when the in breath comes in, it just takes us even deeper down the body, because that rest is a place of inhibition, just waiting, so that when the in breath comes, it does its own thing. And the breath wants to expand the whole body. Just letting it, you might be aware of the breath moving out into the lower spine, into the back, down the pelvis maybe, or maybe not. So let's help it. Let's add in a little whispered R, and I'm going to do this my way, not the standard way. So we're going to do an embodied, a vocalized R actually, I think is easiest for this. And the first R, as you're looking out, just hear the R sound, ah, coming down your throat. Ah, just feel that ah sound resonating down your throat, because you could throw it out to the world. Ah, and that's not what we're doing. The point about ah is it goes down the body. It opens the throat and comes down. Once you've found the throat, see if you can take it down the next stage as well. Ah, and down into your chest and down into your heart. Ah, down into the heart. How about taking it a bit deeper? Ah, down to the solar plexus. And you can walk around if you want to help this. You can do that little knees leading we were doing earlier, which can help open up the lower body. Ah, can you start even getting it down to your belly? And to get it all the way, I actually suggest a bounce. Even if you just let your heels come off and not your toes. You might notice that the breath gets much longer. And you really perhaps can get all the way down there. So just being aware of that whole corridor now. All the way down. You could even play with going up again. Just finding that link through the entire body, through the breath. Okay. Any questions so far? Everybody okay? Okay. Now let's see how the two different ways we can speak. I'm going to tell you something that I had for lunch today. I had a green salad. It's information. Just everybody tell me, and let's all put our microphones on at the moment so we can all hear everything that's being said. So you're just going to speak, if you can. Tell us what you ate. I also had brown bread.
And lox.
I had noodles with tomato sauce.
A little bit of.
I had a pizza out in the cold.
Fish and broccoli.
Real bar.
Io pasta e fagioli.
Yeah.
I had chicken salad.
Fruit.
All these wonderful foods. And what we just shared is purely information. We didn't share anything else. We just shared information. So now I want you to take that R down again.
Wow.
And I want you to find that food stuff. It's in your belly. It's being absorbed. It's being digested. Your belly has an experience of that wonderful food that you ate. And just take a moment to feel it down in your belly and how your belly felt about that food. And then somehow let it speak from there. Brown bread. When you're ready, just let it speak from the belly. See what happens.
Goats.
I heard the orangeness of them. Listen to the quality of what is then said.
Rich and tasty cheese.
Polenta. Breakfast. Rich.
Let's have a few more.
Cereal bowl.
Pasta e fagioli.
Morning.
Salad. Can you hear the different quality that we're expressing now? It can make one feel quite hungry hearing food spoken in this way, because there's far more than information in it now. I mean, I heard somehow the richness of the carrots and your pasta thing. I mean, just it's something utterly delicious being expressed there. Okay, so let's now take something simple, an idea. Just look around your room at something beautiful. Maybe you've got a flower, flowers in a vase. I'm going to look at a little wooden sculpture that I've got. Find something beautiful and just look at it now with your head first. And just let the experience of that beautiful thing that you're looking at rest in your head, and just find the word that expresses, let the word come that expresses the experience of what you're looking at. Dancing. And you can do this with the mic on, or you can turn your mic off as you like. But it's but speak it out loud to yourself, whether we can hear you or not.
Sabbia. Sabbia.
Schauer, Wärme, Licht, Bewegung, Fließen.
That's one word, Rosa. or just a couple, yes. Let it come down now. Let the object that you're seeing, this beautiful object that you're seeing, let it travel down this passageway, this corridor within you, and let it land in your heart. And experience it now from your heart. Yes, you can sit down if you want. I might sit down again too. And let it rest there in your heart. Let yourself experience it in your heart. And let a word emerge that expresses. And it may take you by surprise. See what comes. Loving.
February.
And now let it sink down again to the solar plexus. And let it sit there. Experience what you're looking at from your solar plexus. And let a word emerge. Delicate. You might find some areas of the body easier to get a word than others. Let's take it down again to the belly. Let it sit in your belly. Let yourself experience it from your belly. And let a word emerge. Solid. And let it go right down to the pelvis. Let it land in your pelvic floor. And let yourself experience it from the pelvis. And see what word comes, or what sense comes. Serene. Okay. Put your hand up if you had an experience that the body can have different thoughts. Great. Is anybody stuck? Yeah, because this is the process we're going to use. Is anybody stuck, or does anyone have any questions about this process? No? Good. Okay. Well, let's go for it then. Let's take an Alexander idea. Now, it might be, and we're going to take an idea down the body, it might be about freeing our necks, or it might be how do I feel about Alexander himself, or it might be working with groups, or anything you like, or it might be about something completely different. You don't have to take an Alexander idea. So just take an idea I'm going to take freeing my neck down the body and see what comes. See what the different parts of my body think about freeing the neck. So everybody clear about what we're doing here? Yeah? Okay, let's start with the head. So just have that idea in your head. And this is where you might want your piece of paper, and you might like to write down what comes. It's going to be quite interesting afterwards to have a look. So you can keep your eyes open or shut, but just let your idea sit in your head and just feel what comes. And then we're going to drop it down to the heart. Just let the experience of this idea sit there. And see what comes. It might be a word, it might be a phrase at this point. And let's let it sink down again, down to the solar plexus. Wave at me if I'm going too fast. Just letting the idea sit in the solar plexus. Experience it from there.
Can you please point to the solar plexus?
Oh, the solar plexus, the stomach area. Yes, this middle band where the ribs meet. Thank you. And let it sink down again to the belly. And by belly, I mean this lower part of the front of the lumbar area, as it were. And let it sink down again to the pelvic floor. Just experience it there. Sense it there. See what comes. Okay. Priscilla, am I okay for time, by the way? I want to do one more of these.
No, but yes, I think we can shorten the breakout rooms a little bit and enjoy this with you.
Yes, because this is where, who actually has an urge to write? Is show of hands, is anyone actually actively trying to write at the moment? Yes, a few people, yeah. And Glenna, of course, we know. So, yes, find a subject now that you can just write a few sentences about. And some ideas I came up with about wearing a mask and breathing, a very topical one, or how you feel about social distancing, or how Alexander's technique helps speaking in public. So again, anything simple, but let's just see if you just take that topic and let it sit in the head, and then just see if you can write a couple of sentences, and we just take it down the body and see what happens. I haven't actually tried this before in this way with a group, so it's a complete experiment, and we'll see what happens. Okay, let's start with the head. Everybody got their little topic they want to write about? And just let it sit in your head a moment. And when you're ready, take it down to your heart and have a go from there. Let yourself experience it first. Take your time. And let it come lower to the solar plexus, this middle region of the body. And let it sink lower still to the belly, the lower part of us, this lumbar region at the front, where all the intestines are, the guts. Deep in your guts here. and right down to the pelvic floor. Okay, right. Well, have fun in your breakout rooms, sharing what happened for you. Is that what happens next, Priscilla?
Well, sorry, I just got a great idea for the email that the Congress has to send tomorrow morning. So thank you for that.
Great.
So can you read whatever I wrote now tomorrow if you're on the Congress mailing list? We are gonna divide in breakout rooms for just 5 minutes. Then we can come back and ask a few questions of Penelope. Is that all right? Or is anyone really burning to ask a question before we go? Okay, thank you. So for people who are not familiar and join us for the second, you will end up divided in breakout rooms, and you'll have 5 minutes to talk with other people, to share your experience, to ask questions. And I'm just working on, yes, okay. So if no one is in your room, please come back and we'll, well, I'll reassign you. Okay, see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Again, lots of smiles. It's lovely to see. And thank you for doing the breakout rooms. They are one of the things that other people find really interesting and productive. They may come back with lots of questions, or a great time to just have a little lie down and a snooze. So I'm gonna put it back on, well, on Penelope. So is there any question for her? Or any comment? Something you would like to share? Yep. Go for it.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah.
I can't see everybody. Have you changed the view, or have I got to change something? Gallery, I think that's right. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Penelope. Nicola here in Germany. I think what I've picked up from your work that you know a lot about the different ways, the different types of attention of the left and the right brain. And I'm wondering if you'd say something about this. My experience of right brain experiences is that is where body experiences can be well symbolized, but not in language. And I was wondering if you'd say a little bit more about this different types of attention that the right and left brain have.
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, that's in chapter 2 of my book, for those who've read that. I mean, I based that, the way I think about it in McGilchrist's book, The Master and the Emissary. And he, you know, the old idea of just the right brain's creative and the left brain's very logical is far too simplistic. It's about processing. And the left brain experiences, it's like the difference between a map and a landscape. You know, you can read a map and it will navigate you from A to B, but it won't actually, and you can even see, oh yes, there's a valley there and a river, but it doesn't tell you what color the grass is. And when you actually travel that landscape, you have an experience of the landscape. The map gives you no experience, but it does allow you to navigate. And that's the difference between the left and the right brain. The left only deals with what is known. It's already conceptualized, and it's something we already have, you know, often got from books or something. And so when we are trying to work from the brain, we're just going round and round on things we already know. But there's nothing new to discover from the left brain. It can't discover the new. Spatial awareness is entirely localized to the right side of the brain, apparently. which is why I started with that spatial awareness thing of the room, because if we're not, in spatial awareness of the room, we're not going to be in spatial awareness of ourselves. And when the right brain is the one that experiences the body. Now, I know that language is mostly lateralized to the left brain, but it's not entirely, apparently. And the exact science of what we've just done here, I would not like to hazard. It's, I think, the new idea that information is actually in networks, and that the body is much more in networks than was thought. Does that answer your question, or is there?
Yes, and I think, I've been teaching the Alexander technique for a long, long time, and then I decided to become an academic 3.5 years, and I thought the whole very interesting trying to write a thesis with a background in the Alexander technique, and in the end I came to the conclusion, well, actually the Alexander technique does it networks excellently the left and the right brain, so that it functions optimally.
Yeah, lovely conclusion. Yeah, beautiful. Yes, and I think again here we are linking the right brain experience with language, I guess. There must be this. I think what we've just done is a real left brain right brain tie-up, and writing really is, I think, a left brain event, isn't it? Or is that right brain? Is it that? I can't remember. One's one side.
It's usually seen as a left brain event, but I think the creative writing is when you let right brain experiences flow into being symbolized in language.
Yeah.
And I know when I was writing my dissertation, I realized at one point the most important thing about writing is not writing.
Yes.
Having a lie down.
Having a lie down. Yes.
Yeah.
Let it emerge. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, from the unconscious, which is 90%
Yeah.
of our processes.
Yeah.
I think Jana had a question. Jana Tift. Did I see your hand go up, Jana? Yes.
Yes. Sorry, sometimes I miss the hand going up. Just unmute your and start talking.
Yes. Go ahead,
So, Penelope, I had such a powerful experience in that practice. And I wondered about, you've explained a little bit about your understanding of right and left brain, but would you talk a little bit about the process through which you developed what we just did?
Yes, it's something I'd been feeling my way through for years. I think I first formally did it with a pupil who'd had a sort of strange relationship to sex, actually, and it was to do with her big sister saying nasty things to her when she was 16, in the way kids do, and it sort of stuck things in her. And I got her just to feel into how each part of her body felt about sex, and it was just, there was the bit that was stuck, and there were plenty of bits of her body that wasn't stuck, and it really shifted things. So I was sort of finding my own way into that. And then this more formal process actually came from Philip Shepherd, who wrote New Self, New World. And I've worked with him for many years. And he talks about, he's really formalized the thinking around this. And if you want a good philosophical read, that's it. And then he's got an easier read now called Radical Wholeness. But he says, we are so taught that being a whole person is I'm looking after my body. And if you listen to that sentence, there's still I and body, as if the body is still separate, that I'm looking after it. And we are the body. And so to come into the wholeness of the body and get the body to tell us, what it feels. I used to think of my head as the adult in the situation and the body as the child that needed to be led. And actually, I've realized it's the other way up. That the body is actually the one with the adult sentiment. It's very often when the head has a problem, it's the body that goes, it'll be okay. Very often the pelvic floor, by the time you get to the pelvic floor is going, what are you worrying about? It's fine. Just get your feet on the ground. And the head's going, yeah. Body's going, no, it's fine. So it's become such an important part of my process, because I was brought up in an academic household. I was brought up thinking, when I got to Alexandra, I can remember Actually, I did some modeling in between, and my phrase was, they used to see me only as a brain. They didn't see my body, which is, of course, the opposite of the standard female cry. I wanted to get back into my body for years. That's, you know, getting into the intelligence of the body. I think I was feeling my way through to that even from childhood and didn't quite know how to express it. It's been a life journey. Does that answer your question?
It does. It's a wonderful answer. I'd love to share with you what you said about head and pelvic floor. I've been working on a problem, and that's what I was thinking about. And my head said, I'm overwhelmed. It's so much work. I'm so tired. I'm feeling inadequate. And my pelvic floor said, I have infinite support, infinite inspiration, and infinite choices.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
why
so what to do with that now is let your pelvic floor voice extend a hand up through the different layers until it reaches your head, and let the pelvic floor hold the hand of the head, if that makes sense. So there's an image to play with. That's my own. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Teresa.
Teresa.
I just also had a sort of similar observation as well with my writing, because I noticed that the subject I was writing about, and it was kind of about being angry with other people or annoyed with other people about something, that the further I went down my body, the more I became empathy rather than anger. I could see the point of view of the other people, which was very interesting.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah. Really lovely. Thank you. Anyone else want to share or to ask a question? You're all being shy.
Yeah,
Christina, is your hand up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am interested if you explain in your club or workshops more about how to be in contact with the pelvic floor and to let him speak.
Yes, yes. I mean, the whole book is a journey to doing this. So it's a journey into the body, and so in the book study club, we're working with deeper and deeper into the body until breathing into the body, getting all the anatomy, you know, really tuned up and working. We get some really good elastic movements along the way and feel 10 years younger, which is the bonus. And there's also, of course, teaching how to have the naturally flat stomach, which is another real bonus. But and then the part 3 of the book is absolutely getting into this process of letting things happen. And this is in the book in chapter 17. So we haven't quite got there in the club. But I mean, I'm really pleased. I haven't tried doing this in a workshop before in 3/4 of an hour. So it's nice to feel that people can actually go there very quickly. But the club builds it up very slowly, so that you really have got increasing sense of embodiment in daily life and can access it in speaking, can access it in different ways. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course, you've done training to teach online, so yeah, which also did more of a speed trip through that. Yeah, thank you. Anyone else like to?
I may take up from here just to say thank you, Penelope, because I feel like you shared something really important with us, but also you had a leap of faith that we would follow you. We banking on lots of previous knowledge here, and people really came after you and came with you through this process, and looked like worked quite well for most of us, hopefully. So thank you for that. I think as a presenter, I would have been worried, what if this doesn't work? What people don't, you know, what if everyone gets a bit stuck? So we had an incredible experience, I think, and we're really, really grateful to you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Again, if last chance. Perfect. So just big thank you. We had a lovely time. We enjoyed our time together. This is the last episode of season 5. I'm not sure we'll have a season 6 because I'm very busy and very tired. But we'll see. It's been such a lovely experience. Every time I get to the end, I go, this is it. And then I organize another one. So we'll see how we go. But thank you everyone who came for sharing your experience, for talking with the others. And I'll get the recording done as soon as possible and send them over.